Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman on your radio, on TV. Hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. There's so much to cover, so little time. Americans can't agree on anything. I don't even think we can agree on some of the most basics of America anymore. It's a sad tale to tell, and we're going to reap the whirlwind as a result. That's my humble opinion. Dr. Scott Bradley with me, ladies and gentlemen. And there's an interesting tidbit that I want to understand here. The BBC got caught in a serious lie, ladies and gentlemen. They lied about President Trump's statements on 9/11, or not 9/11, on January the 6th. Okay? WorldNet Daily brings this up. Bob Unruh is the author, and he basically highlights this. Let's play this clip to make the point, then we'll have Dr. Bradley break this down. Check out the difference of how they edited the footage. Here it is.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
There you go. So what do you say to that, Dr. Bradley? Why are we finding out 5 years later that they did this? Why didn't we? I mean, somebody knew this right at the start. Why haven't we prosecuted the government that literally abused citizens? And why don't we have the rest of the footage? And this is just, to me, disaster.
Well, it's interesting to me that the BBC, which is a subsidized outlet of news from the British government, the British government apparently was complicit in the dishonesty that happened in that. But I'll tell you what really makes me angry and frustrated is the fact that that talk was delivered in Washington, D.C., in open public, and all the news media were there. Everybody CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, along with Fox News and everybody was there. They had recordings of that, and they could have corrected that. It was something that our media was complicit every bit as much as the BBC was complicit in this thing.
No question.
And so we have a dishonest media. Now, what you're working very hard to do, Sam, is to try and give a more complete voice to the cause that's happening. And honestly, it tells us that the dishonesty is almost completely embedded at every level. And, Reagan,
that's right. They say an internal report revealed that the BBC manipulated footage of President Trump's January 6th, 2021 speech to falsely suggest that he encouraged people to breach the Capitol or forcefully enter the Capitol. They say that's according to the Daily Mail. Now, what I don't understand is why this is coming out now. Whose internal report? Where's Donald and the government, the investigators? They had a big old investigation about this. They put this on TV. They did all these things at the government. Why are we prosecuting those who perpetuated this lie? It's media for sure, but it's government as well, right?
Absolutely. The leadership of government. Nancy Pelosi's every bit as incriminated on this thing. Now, again, she's retiring now to her millions.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact is, Reagan used to say, trust but verify. Okay, that's a half step. I say distrust until verified. And what we should do is investigate and bring it to light. And I think you try to do that on your program, and a lot of the other alternative media, as they're calling you. These kinds of things need to be broadly broadcast. Now, there's people out there like Ben Shapiro and some of these guys that try to mold the narrative, and they have a following. But guys like Tucker Carlson, I mean, he's got a much, probably 10 times what most of these other guys he's
got 10 times the support of even these big networks now.
Right. And so here's the deal. People that are quote unquote still called alternative, even though they're much more stably and soundly based in most instances, have got to be the voice for these kind of things. And you're right, the people that were prosecuted, and of course they've been pardoned now and all this kind of stuff, but they spent years in prison, some of them in solitary. It's absolutely tin horn dictator stuff. And the hearings that were heard in Congress, they manipulated the Liz Cheney's of the world, Nancy Pelosi's of the world. They were disingenuous, dishonest, and destructive of lives to the nth degree. And I think that we, the people, need to recognize that most of these people are lessers, and we keep sending them back to office.
There's no prosecution of any kind. There's no accountability for any of that stuff. Donald's not holding anybody accountable. Congress isn't holding anybody accountable.
Right. It's a travesty. It's an absolutely tragic travesty what has happened. And, these people, we've let them out of jail and they're all the oxen free. I think that they each ought to get, I don't know, I'll pick a number, $1 million a year for their incarceration. And there ought to be a recognition that injustice was done and we're trying to make them whole.
Amen. 100%.
Yeah, no, maybe the number's 5 million a year. I don't know what the number
But I also
is.
think that we need to prosecute those people who perpetuated this and did this, though. Joe Biden knew the truth. The Justice Department leaders knew the truth. The FBI knew the truth. It's not just we can go, oh yeah, the Daily Mail and the BBC. Now I appreciate that we have evidence that they manipulated that, but we've known this. We've talked about this since 2021.
We have. It's been every time we get together, we're flapping our lips about this kind of stuff. I mean, I make light of that a little bit, but the fact of the matter is, yeah, there were some people that really got out of line. They vandalized,
and they should be prosecuted.
They should be prosecuted, but the vast majority of the people were there peaceably assembling.
And I wonder how many illegals were there. We could have deported them all at once,
Well, no, I doubt that. I mean, but here's the deal.
Hey, the Super Bowl we can deport. You got this, I don't know what you want to call it, this Puerto Rican guy that's going to have, all those people are going to want to go to the halftime concert and stuff like that.
Puerto Rico happens to be under the U.S. flag, but they don't
act
act
in a very weird way, too.
A weird way, and we could talk about that for hours. But the fact of the matter is, what we were fed there. I mean, just like the COVID con.
Send them all to Puerto Rico. That's what you do.
Distrust until verified. That's my adage. And I really believe
Amen. I agree 100%.
That saved us during the COVID con. I mean, the masking. I mean, people masked, and they should have been masked because they were masked bandits trying to destroy our nation. But the fact of the matter is, now that the truth's coming out, there's still a big push. I mean, I can't tell you how many commercials on news media sources. I look at a lot of news media. They're still pushing the jab, for crying out loud.
But see, I just got an email from Rand Paul, and he's like, Fauci thinks he's going to get away with it. He's smirking and laughing and thinks he's got away with it because he's got friends in high places. I'm here to tell you it's not true. And I'm here to tell Rand Paul that it is true.
Well, until they take some action,
Fauci's going to get away with it. There's going to be no accountability for Fauci.
That's right. Fauci should be in prison for the crimes that he committed. Now, again, let's do due process. I'm not saying,
of course,
hang him high without any trial, but let's do the due process. And I don't care how old he is. If he gets 5 years and it's the rest of his life, fine. But what happened was absolutely criminal.
No
and
question.
It happens over and over again. And like you say, there's never any justice done because they just let it slide.
Sad but true. The Hillary lock her up plan kind of makes the point pretty well on the campaign trail. And then it's like, hey, get in office, leave Hillary alone. Don't bother old poor Hillary. She's fine. For Dr. Scott Bradley, freedomsrisingsun.com, I'm Sam Bushman, syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks, lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save our republic.